Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because, well, we're going to do something really fascinating. We're embarking on a structured, super logical journey to navigate life's most unanswerable questions. You know, the ones that have you staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning? Instead of just kind of wandering aimlessly through abstract thoughts, we're going to break down a rigorous, step-by-step philosophical framework from our source material that actually helps us sift through the noise. By the end of our time together today, you'll literally have a powerful new lens to evaluate what's true, what's useful, and what's, quite frankly, just weak philosophy.
Today's explainer covers 3 key areas. First, the 2 types of questions. Second, the path to ultimate truth. And finally, 6 criteria for better answers.
Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, 2 types of questions and the fundamental difference in human inquiry.
Before we even begin talking about finding the best answers, we absolutely have to define what it is we're actually asking, right? Every thought, every wonder, every debate, it all begins with an inquiry. But there's a fundamental difference in how human beings question the universe. On one hand, we've got outward questions. These are the inquiries with specific, objective answers. Think about questions like, what is the boiling point of water? Or, how far away is the moon? You can measure them. You can prove them. They're totally settled. But then, we have inward questions. Now, these do not have specific, easily measurable answers. Stuff like, what is the meaning of life? Why is there suffering? What makes a good life? These inward questions leave us searching. There's no mathematical formula you can just look up in a textbook for these. And because they lack specific, objective answers, they create this massive void that human beings desperately want to fill.
Moving right along to Section 2, the path to ultimate truth and navigating a sea of differing answers. So when an inward question lacks a specific, universally agreed upon answer, what do we actually do? Well, humans are incredibly creative creatures. We invent our own. We fill that void with belief systems, philosophies, traditions, and personal theories. But, this immediately creates a really profound dilemma. Everyone can have answers, but those cannot be the best. Then how to find the best one? If everyone has their own answer to an inward question, they literally can't all be the absolute best. Some answers are just fundamentally flawed. Some are incomplete. So if we're on a quest for actual truth, how do we systematically filter out the weak answers to find the real champion? How do we find the one that holds up against intense scrutiny? Let's move to and see how this builds. Because finding truth is a literal progression. You don't just jump from a simple inward question directly to the ultimate truth. There's no way. It's a process of iteration. You start by seeking a better philosophical answer. That leads you to answer 1. But then you test it, you push it, and it evolves into answer 2, and then answer 3. You're constantly filtering and refining, stripping away the illogical parts, moving step by step down this funnel until you finally approach what we can call the ultimate truth. And that brings us perfectly to Section 3, 6 criteria for better answers. This is the master framework for evaluation. So what exactly is the sieve we're pushing these answers through? Well, the source material outlines a 6-part master framework to separate the profound from the nonsensical. Criterion 1 is sufficient comprehension. A great philosophical answer absolutely must address the question fully. It can't be reductive or overly simplistic. Take the kind of quirky example from the text. Imagine someone says the meaning of life is just that we're born to eat. Well, if that's your core philosophy, then, okay, the logical conclusion is that you can't do anything except eat. It completely fails to comprehend the vast complexity of human existence. Art, love, creation, progress, the whole shebang. A weak answer is just way too narrow. The best answers have a massive, sufficient comprehension of the entire human picture. But comprehending the whole picture isn't enough if it only applies to a select few. That brings us to Criterion 2, universal. It needs to be related for everyone. A truly great philosophical answer cannot be isolated to one specific group, one specific geography, or one specific culture. It needs to be relatable and applicable for absolutely everyone. If an answer to a fundamental inward question only makes sense if you happen to live in a certain zip code or belong to a certain exclusive club, it's inherently weak. The ultimate truth doesn't play favorites. Its logic scales seamlessly across all of humanity. And just as truth doesn't play favorites with geography, it also doesn't play favorites with history. Criterion 3 requires that the best answers tend to be timeless. Think about this for a second. Truth does not have an expiration date. If a philosophical answer only works perfectly for the 18th century, but completely falls apart in the 21st century, well, it really wasn't a great answer to begin with. The most robust answers regarding the human condition must hold up across different eras, different technological landscapes, and vastly different generations. They weather the storm of time.
So the crucial point is how this next one pushes us even further into logic. Criterion 4, explainable. A great answer must logically account for the existence of alternatives. Let's look at the exact example from the text. If your answer is, I am for this God, the immediate philosophical stress test is, what about others that don't believe in him, right? A weak philosophy just ignores the outsiders or vaguely says they're just wrong. But the best philosophical answers actually have an internal logic that gracefully and rationally explains why differing beliefs exist in the first place. It accounts for the entire landscape of human thought, not just its own little island. Next up is exactly where philosophy meets reality. Criterion 5, actionable. An answer carries far greater value if it can actually be applied. The text uses a fascinating example here, a philosophy that claims, my life begins after I die. The framework categorizes this as unreal. And why is that? Because if your entire philosophical answer is completely non-actionable in the present, tangible world you inhabit right now, it falls short. It offers no practical value for your current existence. The best answers give you a way to live, act, and make clear decisions in the here and now.
Finally, we've reached the ultimate safeguard. Criterion 6, subject of intellectual comprehension, meaning it must absolutely be open to debate. The text asks a brilliant, simple question. Can you argue? If a philosophy's only defense is because I said so, or it's an unsolvable mystery, just accept it, it completely shuts down the intellect. It's a total dead end. The very best answers are deeply intellectual. They invite tough questions, they stand up to rigorous logical argument, and they welcome genuine intellectual comprehension rather than demanding blind obedience. And this brilliantly illustrates how everything comes together into a complete, highly structured system. The complete framework: 1. Sufficient comprehension. 2. Universal. 3. Timeless. 4. Explainable. 5. Actionable. And 6. Intellectual comprehension. We've taken a chaotic sea of inward questions and provided a strict gauntlet. Anytime someone pitches you the ultimate truth, you just run it through these 6 points. Does it comprehend the whole picture? Does it apply universally? Will it last forever? Can it explain other viewpoints? Can you act on it today? And can it survive a rigorous intellectual argument? If an answer passes all 6 of these criteria, you have found something absolutely incredible. I want to leave you with a final, really provocative thought. Next time you face an inward question about your purpose, about your values, about the very nature of your reality, how will your personal answer measure against these 6 criteria? Will your deeply held beliefs hold up to the pressure, or will they kind of crack under the weight of logical scrutiny? I really encourage you to take this framework, apply it to your own life, and keep pushing closer and closer to that ultimate truth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.